Hello everybody, welcome back to Hunting Mark. I'm Cameron Porter. We are back in our shed here at the range. We booked the range for the day, but alas, we got snowed in spring. But we're still gonna get all this content out to you because it's important and we wanted to cover it. So today, we are covering the Sig Sauer Romeo 5 and whether it's worth it. So, the Sig Sauer Romeo 5 is a red dot sight. That means there's no magnification, just 1x. I believe it's 20 millimeter diameter on the objective lens. So it's going to be a really basic red dot. The reticle is just your standard red dot. There's no outer ring, there's no toggleable differences there. It's just the red dot. It's a 2 MOA dot, and it does have 10 different brightness settings. It's got 8 daylight settings and 2 night vision compatible settings. That we've had a chance to cycle through. I'll share all my thoughts after I do a quick rundown of the specifications. It does come with Picatinny mount. You can get this the risen mount right here that's a lot taller, so if you want to co-witness, you can do it that way. Or if you want it to be a really low riding one, they do ship with a low mount as well. It would work fine as a backup sight at an angle if you wanted to cock it to the side like that. So that's kind of what it's designed for, it's intended for. It comes with the bikini lens caps here that are form fitted to stay on so they don't move around a whole lot, and I actually like that. That's a bit, I've seen a lot of rubber lens caps and they have a tendency to twist and they can even pop off. This one is designed so it's ridged so it won't do any of that, which I thought was a nice touch. Uses your standard button battery. I'll admit I didn't pay attention whether it was a CR whatever, but it's one of your button batteries. It does come with a battery, and it comes with a lot of battery life in the tens of thousands of hours. If you're at the lowest brightness setting, obviously you're going to lose a lot of that if you're going brighter. And if you're at full brightness, you're probably going to get more in the hundreds of hours of battery life as opposed to the thousands or the tens of thousands. That's pretty standard with red dots. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So you do have adjustments for elevation and windage, half MOA adjustments for each one. Pretty standard stuff. Again, very standard stuff. Price is standard as well, about what you'd expect for the class. I believe at the time of purchase, this was $130. It does change. It goes on sale sometimes. Sometimes it gets more expensive, but that seems to be about the right range, is $130 for it, which, hey, for a Sig product, that's pretty reasonable. Sig Sauer products tend to be pretty expensive. So I'm happy with it so far. Now, let's get into my specific thoughts and feedback on the Romeo 5 and how it's performed so far. So it is advertised as waterproof, dust and waterproof, up to 1 meter of water. So you could actually submerge it into a meter of water. I didn't get a whole meter of water to submerge it in, but we did drop it into a bowl of water to see what would happen, and then we kicked it back on and it was totally fine. So it did handle that just fine. The brightness settings work fairly well. The snowstorm that we're in actually gave us a great opportunity to test to see the brightness and see how the maximum brightness dot handles itself in ridiculously bright conditions, about the brightest you will ever face, and I could still see the dot. It was not easy to see, and it was obviously the surroundings, the snow with the sun reflecting off of the snow, incredibly, incredibly bright, but at the brightest brightness, I could still see the dot. And that's really important. So know that if you are shooting outdoors, if that's the kind of use case you're looking for, it will still work in really bright conditions. So that's a really important note for this. Haven't had an opportunity to test the night vision settings. Judging from what I know of Sig, I would expect them to be good, to be functional, to do exactly what they're supposed to do, but I can't say that for sure because I don't have a night vision device with which to test it. So on the lowest brightness settings, you can't even see it in normal lighting inside. You have to actually have it very, very dark in order for the lowest brightness settings to work, but that's the whole point of them anyway. Honestly, my biggest point of feedback with this is the MOTAC. It's the motion sensor shake awake system, which does work fine. It works great. My issue with it is you cannot toggle it off. Hey there, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for a quick correction. So, it turns out you can turn off the MOTAC and disable it completely. If you want to turn it off manually, you either hold down the minus button or the plus button. You just hold it down until the dot goes away. And now it's off. And now, if I shake it, it won't turn on. So that is how you disable the MOTAC. Everything else about it works great. The dot isn't crazy sharp. at a 2 MOA dot, but that might just be my eyes. I mean, I'm just one person. So your mileage may vary. Some of the dots are going to be a little bit sharper, but it is clear enough that you can acquire your target very quickly and you're going to hit your target. If you're going out to, say, 200 yards, if you're trying to really push the capabilities of the red dot, it's not going to work super great with this because of that fuzziness. Instead of being able to hit within about a 4-inch or 5-inch circle, you're really only going to be able to hit within, I would say, an 8 or a 9-inch circle. So if you're trying to push it to its limits, you're going to run into that. I think within 100 yards, this is going to do great. And at 200 yards, you're still going to be able to hit a man-sized target or an animal, or a large animal. If you're aiming at something like that and there's a little bit of flexibility with your point of impact, then you're going to be fine. But if you need that extra precision, I wouldn't go beyond 100 yards with this. And there are some red dots that you can. So the reason I bring that up is because there are some red dots that are crisp enough, that are tight enough, that have more advanced reticles, more complicated or complex reticles that will help you get out that far. The Romeo 5 is not one of them. Overall, I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of it, and it's certainly going to go, if not on one of my rifles, then on one of my family's rifles. So those are my thoughts on the Romeo 5, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.